plays at the stick. From who's got it better than us to brick by brick. It's always the 49ers way, from off-season to game day. Yeah, we talk back. It's the 49ers Cutback.
It's 49ers Cutback Podcast time. And Alex, one of the big talking points has been the 49ers are 6-0 against the Los Angeles Rams in their last 6 games that they've played. It has been an impressive feat, and we wanted to get into exactly why, because you got to figure there's something, right? There's a formula that the 49ers are doing to be able to beat the Los Angeles Rams. So we want to get into it and talk about it and see if the 49ers can take that said formula and use it again in the NFC Championship game.
I mean, you'd think, right? You'd think there's a formula. This has been since the 2019 season. This started after the 2018 season, in which the Niners, actually up to that point, since Kyle Shanahan had been there, were actually 0-4 against the Rams. They lost their first 4. They have since won 6 straight. I'm hearing some people in Ramsland saying that means McVay and the Rams are due. I'm not one of those people that believes in the laws of averages or, you eventually, no, sometimes you go through runs with teams, you go through spurts, and the way teams are developed. You coming into 2018, the Niners, the change to the roster, right, was the bringing in of Jimmy Garoppolo. Him supposed to be the guy and supposed to be the dude, and goes down very, very early in that season. And so you're not able to get him in either one of these matchups. The Niners aren't really the 49ers without him out there, which means you're rolling with Nick Mullins a couple of times, and CJ Beathard, I believe, in one of those, and which ended up being ugly games for the 49ers. But we looked at some of the numbers, we've looked at some of the stats, and we've tried to really dive into this and figure out, what are some of the common themes through those 6 wins? What are some common areas? We looked at sacks, we looked at yards through the air throwing, we looked at turnovers, and one of the odd things was, we looked at the turnover numbers, and the turnover numbers don't necessarily favor the 49ers. In fact, 3 of the 6 wins, they actually lost the turnover battle.
Yeah, it pretty much made turnovers irrelevant. It's weird. It's like the 49ers could turn over the ball and still be able to beat the Rams, which hasn't been the case throughout the season. Usually when the 49ers lose the turnover battle, they end up losing the football game. But again, in this Rams series, some of the times it doesn't matter. It's like the 49ers just find a way to overcome that. I mean, it was an interesting thing to look at because we thought there was going to be like distinct things that were going to point it out. The Niners would win the turnover battle. They would do, this in the passing game. They would keep Jimmy Garoppolo clean. Like all these things that we thought were going to play into it. And there are some things, Alex, that we found that are kind of consistent in how the 49ers end up, beating the Rams. If the 49ers run the ball over 30 times, they have a really good, they're going to win. I mean, that's just the key. I think there's one time they don't rush the ball 30 times. The rest of the times they do, and they win, of course. So I think the one time is an outlier. And I think in that game, if I'm remembering correctly, they had 1 carry less than the Rams.
That is correct, and I did misspeak, and I said the Niners lost the turnover battle 3 times. They just didn't win it 2 of the times.
Okay.
My apologies, Cutback crew. It was 2 of the times. They tied. That was the most recent one, and then one of them they lost. They turned the ball over twice to the Rams once. And there's been a couple games where the Niners have turned the ball over 3 times, but forced 4 on the Rams on the other side of the football and won the game. But you're right. It was 1 more rush attempt. That's all the Rams had in that situation. The Niners were much more efficient with their runs. I think the Rams had 24 in that game. The Niners only had 23 in that scenario. The Niners rushed for over 130, and the Rams had, I think, about 80 yards rushing in that matchup. And so rush attempts was something that was very obvious. The even more obvious thing was when the Niners rushed the ball over 40 times, it has been a darn near close to a blowout in every single one of those games. It's been a game that the Niners have handily won against this Rams team. You and I both believe that the Niners can run the ball 40 times. There's a reason why you're doing it. It's typically because you're moving the football easily, chunking it out, or probably have a lead. Is it just that, or is there something else going on?
Well, I think when you run the ball 40 times, it means you've kind of ensued dominance. You're taking over, you're dominating the other team, and you got them backpedaling along the way. And I think that the 49ers offense has really got that going. And 40 is a definite key number for a win. If the 49ers get 40 carries on the game, they're going to win the football game. If it's 30, it's a little more up in the air, but it's a good situation. So the 49ers' goal, I know, against the Packers was to run the ball 30 times. They ran it 29 times. It seems to be a key feature of what the 49ers do on offense is get the ball run it 30 to 35 times, and then when you play the Rams, if you can get that up into the 40s, you have the potential to blow them out. That's the thing that the 49ers need to do in this game. That's the definite thing that we found in these games is that the running game is one of the biggest parts, and it's the 49ers run game. If they can get it going, then they have a chance to hang in or beat the Rams. In the last 6 times, they have beat the Rams.
Very, very accurate, and they have. I was taking a look just now, too, to try and see if I could see some sort of similarity between, the amount of carries for the lead back at the time or anything like that. And really, no, it's not the case, because the 2019 season when the Niners were rolling, you had a handful of different guys. In 2020 when the Niners were winning, Mostert had 17. JaMychal Hasty has 9. McKinnon has 6. This year, it's been a little bit more of Elijah Mitchell has 27. Jeff Wilson has 10. The last matchup, Elijah Mitchell carries the ball 21 times to Deebo Samuel's 8. So there is no distribution scale that makes it one way or the other. It's simply and sheerly a volume of runs for the 49ers has typically led to success. Also, the other thing that we have to take into account and factor in is time of possession, because in all of the matchups except for one, the 49ers won the time of possession. The bigger the time of possession is, Ant, to go along with that run game, the more dominant the performance tends to be. The one time where they don't win the time of possession, very close football game, and another game that they won the time of possession, but by a very slim margin, close football game. But the Niners have never lost to the Rams when they've lost the time of possession by less than 6 minutes. Meaning if it's under 6 minutes, 5:59 or less, the Niners have not lost a football game to the Rams.
Yeah, I think what we're finding out is the run game is one of the big ties. It's all about the amount of carries and the amount of time that you can control the ball, because when you do, you keep McVay's offense off the field, and you're able to keep your defense off the field too. That way they don't have to continually rush after and get tired out. We also seen the fall off from the 2018 games to the 2019, 2020, 2021 in the rushing, the way that the Rams were able to attack. That is when Todd Gurley kind of goes away. When Todd Gurley goes away, then you see the Rams run game suffer. They've definitely been different. They haven't been able to do it as well. The New England Patriots exposed the Rams running game in that Super Bowl. It's no surprise that all these other teams figured out how to stop them, and then 49ers are no different. I believe the biggest catalyst in this, after we went through all the numbers, because there's no real rhyme or reason besides what we talked about the running game, is that Kyle Shanahan just knows how to beat Sean McVay. Kyle Shanahan has figured out the formula. He has figured out what he needs to do, how he needs to operate, and he changes it up just a little bit each time. And there's a different way the 49ers find a way to beat the Rams every time.
Very true, Ant. There has been a different way. Slightly different each and every time. Very early on, the run game was having success in terms of running the football well. But Jimmy Garoppolo was throwing the ball a little bit more effectively. If you date it back to 2019, that very first matchup, the Niners rushed the ball 41 times in that football game, but they only did it for 99 yards. So were you efficient running the football? No. And guess what? The Rams were on the other side, 22 for 109. But the final score of that game was 20-7. The Niners took care of business, and they were running the ball, Ant, on third and shorts, getting first downs to keep the clock moving and keep drives moving, which is why it ends up being that way. Time of possession that game, they won it by 17 minutes. But Jimmy Garoppolo was the one getting them into the third and shorts, and then the running game was taking care of the business. In that sense, in that regard. That was the first matchup in that 2018 season. The second matchup, guess what? Jimmy Garoppolo throws for 248, but the Niners rush significantly better, and that was the game that you were talking about, that 24-23 carry discrepancy where the Rams out-carried the 49ers. The 49ers were much more efficient. There were 24 carries for 72 yards. Niners 23 for $119 in that game. So a little bit more explosive with the run game. Didn't rely so much on the run. Didn't rely in that category as much. And the Rams actually controlled the clock in that game a little bit more. That 5-minute time of possession difference there in their favor, but it was a 34-31 game. A game that's eerily similar to the one we saw in Week 18, where the Rams get out to an early lead. The Niners kind of storm back, but they storm back in the second quarter, not after halftime. Second quarter, the Rams claw back in it in the third, and the Niners hold off and win the thing in the fourth quarter defensively in a nice defensive battle in that situation. This 2021 campaign, this Week 18 matchup, slightly different. At the time of possession, oddly similar. The Niners only win it by 5 minutes in that game, Ant. Throw for 340 total yards and rush for $135. The Rams aren't able to get the offense going after the first half. The Niners defense steps up in a big way. So halftime adjustments may be something else that we need to factor and take into account, because it seems like a lot of these games that are closer, the Rams have a chance very early in the game to get out in front and get out in ahead, and then don't finish the job at the end of it.
Yeah, I think that the 49ers have come up clutch too. We've had some times that they end the games, they make the plays when they need to make them, whether that's this year or if that's in 2019. Famously, I remember when Robbie Gould hit the field goal at the end of the game. Just McVay's the shock on his face, because the 49ers had went in there and took that game back. I think that there is a common theme in all of this. That is that Kyle Shanahan, and whatever defensive coordinator he has, have been able to figure out how to stop McVay at some point. Right, there are times when they stop him. McVay has a very good offense, and they're able to execute, and they put up a lot of numbers. But at some point, there's going to be little droughts in these games, and on those droughts, the 49ers have to take advantage of it. And I think that is something we saw throughout all the numbers that we've looked at in all the games, is that when are those droughts going to be, and can the 49ers capitalize on those? Because just this season, you had 17 points in the first half for the Rams, the second half 7. That's where the 49ers come back and make up all the ground. I think this is something that you can continually see, and it's got to be Kyle Shanahan, because he's the one constant. The defensive coordinator has changed, but the one constant is Kyle Shanahan.
Kyle Shanahan has been the one constant on this roster in terms of understanding McVay, understanding the scheme, what he wants to do. And let's also not forget that a lot of the Rams' success very early on was due to the run game. Right, during the Super Bowl run, Todd Gurley was that guy. He was that dude. He goes and gets hurt right before going to the playoffs. The knee becomes a very big problem, a big issue that they try and manage throughout it. They get to that Super Bowl, and Bill Belichick and that Pats defense finds a way to really stuff it down, lock it down, and basically not make it as efficient as effective. You come in then, fast forward into the 2019 season, and the Niners have very good success against the Rams in the rushing game, and don't let them get that established, and you force Jared Goff to have to be a guy who drops straight back and throws. And listen, Matt Stafford is a much better arm talent than Jared Goff is. But if you're able to make the Rams one-dimensional, Kyle Shanahan is from the same schooling of thought process with the pass game. He spent time with McVay. They've learned from each other. They've built off of each other. They're friends. They've shared schemes. They've shared ideas. They know each other very well. And if Kyle knows that the run game can't get going, then he knows what Sean's thinking. He knows what he wants to do. It's the same thing on the other side of the ball for Sean McVay. He's very aware of what Kyle wants to do and how Kyle wants to establish things. But the difference has been execution in a lot of these football games. It truly has been. And maybe it's mentality. Maybe it's personnel. I don't know. But I keep seeing a lot of people talking about how the Rams are a better roster than the 49ers, so in theory, they should beat them. They should be able to beat them, but the dangerous part about the Niners is that they've done it now 6 straight times, so they just believe that they're better, and they believe they're just going to find a way. I don't know if I necessarily agree with that they have a better roster than the 49ers, because I think the Niners are much deeper than the Rams in a lot of categories, in a lot of places, at a lot of positions. But they have more, I guess, star power is the right way to put it. They have more well-known names. Well-known names don't necessarily always win you football games, though. And I like the roster that the Niners have in terms of the pieces they have. We don't have the big names, but we have the guys who know how to do their job. And in a game like this, where it's a rival, right? It's a body bag game, as George Kittle has called it and referred to it as. It isn't about, you not getting put in a body bag, because everyone is in a body bag game. At some point, you're going to be on the ground sitting there going, geez, Louise, how'd I end up here? I need to fix this. It's about putting the opponent in that position more often than you are. And the Niners, I think, have more guys who can do that than the Rams can.
Yeah, I think that the whole body bag thing, too, is that's what the Rams were saying in their locker room.
Correct.
That they were going to put the 49ers in a body bag, basically in their season. Well, you didn't get it done, and now these guys are hard to kill, and they're here for you. And now you got to face it. And I think that it's a lot of its attitude. The way this team has been built with John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan, the emphasis has been on physicality. Then the physicality runs throughout the entire team. The offensive line, physical. The running backs, physical. The wide receivers, physical. The tight end, sure as heck, is physical. Fullback, physical. All this stuff it's all about being tough. It's all about toughness. And that has been duplicated on the defensive side of the ball as well. These guys, they come up and hit you. They lay the wood. And physicality is a real thing. It can wear on you in the game. Sometimes you can feel physically dominated. That's where the 49ers get their advantage. And that advantage is definitely shown as an example in the run game. That's why when the run game gets rolling, it does take an effect on the Rams. I think that is one of the big reasons that some people see this roster and think that the Rams are more talented, because you can see the big names in their starting groups. But what you don't see is the 49ers are just as talented. The 49ers have just as many big names. They're just not as well known because you have Deebo Samuel, who's one of the best wide receivers in the league.
Who is getting shafted everywhere.
Yeah, George Kittle is the best tight end in the league. Those are two big enough names for me on offensive side of the ball. If you have those two guys.
And that doesn't include Trent Williams.
No, it doesn't. Who's the best offensive lineman? I think that right away they're ignoring it a little bit. I think this is the Jimmy Garoppolo effect. You automatically say the other team's more talented because they believe their quarterback's better. And then on defense, they got Jalen Ramsey, they got Von Miller, they got Aaron Donald. They should just roll everyone. The problem is names don't matter when you get in there and you get grimy. People start getting knocked over and knocked down, and things start changing. And it's all well and good until you body on body. And I think this is one of those things where it doesn't have to be explained. Just know it's real. And can the 49ers make it 7? I don't know. I mean, this is going to be a tough game. I think the 49ers have the talent to do so. I think they've had the game plan to do so. I was definitely nervous during the Week 18 game. I thought the Rams came out and executed at a high level early on in that game, and I think they have the potential to do it again. However, did they swing? Did they take their best shot? Did they give everything they had in that Week 18 game in that first half? Or do they have something left? Does Sean McVay have something else that he can pull out to go against Kyle Shanahan, or is Kyle Shanahan finally just taking his haymaker? Is it the LaFleur effect, where LaFleur gave everything he had to beat him in Week 3? Then when you got into the playoffs, it was like, okay, I don't really have anything offensively that I can get you with. Does McVay have anything left?
It's going to be interesting. I don't think they obviously showed all of their cards. But here's the thing. They have showed their hand throughout the season, whether it's OBJ throwing touchdown passes now, Johnny Hekker in back-to-back games this year throwing passes to try and convert either a field goal into a first down attempt that was snuffed out by DJ Jones, or the burning of Josh Norman on special teams, which we all hated, but will get fixed because it's not going to happen again. God, I hope not.
I thought that was against Dallas.
No. Oh, that was against Dallas.
Yeah.
You're right. But Johnny Hekker did complete one. He did convert a first down pass on the 49ers as well. So that did happen, but I was thinking Dallas and Josh Norman. You were correct. They happened so close together that it just melded.
Yeah.
It melded into one ant, but it's fine. Mr. Hekker did complete a pass against the Niners for a first down. He missed earlier in the season, though. He didn't miss. He completed it. It was just short and not a first down because DJ Jones is an absolute savage. But look, the Niners, it's tough. It's winning 7 straight against anyone. Winning just 7 straight games, period, in the NFL is tough. Winning 7 straight against one opponent is tough enough. But anyone who thinks because you've won 6, now it's that much harder now to win the 7th one. No, every one of those wins is tough. Every one of those wins is, like you've talked about, its own season. It's its own moment.
It is.
And anything could have happened in any one of those games. The Niners could have faltered in any one of those games and fell. And there's a handful of close wins in these 6 wins that could have gone the other direction with one play going a different direction. You can't dwell on the fact that you've won 6 and therefore it's going to be harder now to win a 7th. No. You can't worry about, hey, we've won 2, now it's going to be really hard to win a 3rd. No. It was going to be just as hard to win one of those as it is going to be to win all 3. You have a team who's talented. You have a coach who's talented. You have coaches who know each other. You have weapons and pieces on both sides of the football that are looking to prove a point for both teams. As much as the Rams, have gone all in and need this, the 49ers are in a very similar boat. Maybe you haven't necessarily gone all in to the extent the Rams have, but you traded a lot of capital to get your future quarterback behind Jimmy Garoppolo. Right? You've re-signed Trent Williams to a big contract. You've utilized Deebo Samuel in a way coming into a contract year the next following season that he's now going to need to be paying big money. Nick Bosa has elevated from his 2019 form and shown how important he is. Eric Armstead and the DJ Jones pairing on the interior now makes you question and think, can you split those two up, or do you need to get both of these guys on the interior going forward, which opens up a whole host of other questions in terms of the rest of your D-line and what it could look like going forward. This is a big moment and an opportunity for the 49ers. There's a lot of things at stake here and a lot of opportunities at stake here. You're 1 game away with a division opponent that you have beaten the last 6 times that you faced, which means there's no excuses. There is no reason for you to not take care of business just one more time and get yourself into the championship.
Yeah, I think that perception is something that's out there. I think that, number one, these players aren't worried about next. I mean,
No.
they just can't. They're worried about this one game. But this 49ers unit came from the depths. They came from a point where it didn't look like they had much of a chance of making the playoffs, and then now they did. So they're going in there with reckless abandon. That's how they've been playing these games. The physicality that they've been playing with, The way that they went into Green Bay and beat the Green Bay Packers at Lambeau Field, the way they went into Dallas and beat them, they're tested. The one thing that's not going to scare them is SoFi Stadium. It's not. It's just not. It's not a scary place to play. The Rams are a scary opponent because they're really good, and everyone knows if you don't come out there and play, an A game, you have the potential to lose. But I think that the 49ers are ready for this moment. Most of their players have played an NFC Championship game before. Most of them have played in a Super Bowl before. They know what it takes to win. They know what it takes to lose. And they don't want to feel that feeling again. So you're going to have that motivation. The question is the Rams, are they ready? They have a lot of players there too. A lot of great players that went to the Super Bowl. They know what it takes to win. They know what happens when you lose and the feelings that is. The question is Matthew Stafford ready for this moment? When it comes to the biggest crunch time and the biggest games, Jimmy Garoppolo has proven, especially this season, he's cool. He's ready. He's ready to lead his team to victory. He's done it continuously. Matthew Stafford did it against Tampa Bay. Well done. Great throw. Is this moment going to be too big for him? Is this going to be Detroit Matthew Stafford, or is this the Matthew Stafford that everyone saw as, hey, this guy's got that that ability to go ahead and get the ball out and make the plays that he needs to make down the stretch? I think it's something to watch in this game, but it all comes down to the run game. The 49ers are going to make the Rams one-dimensional. They're going to force them, to beat them with the pass. They're going to limit Cooper Kupp. They're going to take away OBJ, and they're going to make Van Jefferson and then beat him. And I think that on the offensive side of the ball, they're going to pound the rock. Unlike Jay Hill thought on faceoff, it doesn't matter the amount of yards you get. If you run the football 40 times, you're going to win the football game. Because when you're running it like that, it opens up other things. And if you're running it that many times, it means you are converting on third down. That's one of the keys in this game as well. Jimmy Garoppolo has been a huge converter of third downs. Whether you're converting on the ground or in the air, that's going to be a big pivotal part of this game.
And you may be asking yourself, TCC, what do the numbers say on third down conversions? In all of those wins, how well have the Niners converted on third downs? Some games great, some games piss poor, and some games right in the middle. There is no rhyme or reason. Yeah. The only thing that has made any sort of sense when you look at the numbers and you watch the film is the run game. Niners run game moves the ball downfield. It eats up clock. It keeps drives moving and going, puts Jimmy in manageable third downs. They hit on enough of them. And those times that they hit and drive down the field and put the points on the board end up being the difference in why the 49ers win and lose the football game. They stop them more than they stop themselves. And you have to do it one more time this week. And I guess the only other thing could be that I guess maybe the deterioration of Todd Gurley had some sort of impact on the Rams offense and took it from where it was this hard to contain thing because of how special Todd Gurley was to a point now where they haven't been able to find that missing piece. Do you think that plays any role or impact on why the Rams have struggled so much against the Niners?
I think it also people adapted. The 49ers change in defense as well. You add in Nick Bosa. He's somebody that all of a sudden is going and playing the edge. You don't have him in those first set of meetings between McVay and Kyle Shanahan. He's a big difference. The emergence of Fred Warner becoming the player that he is. Dre Greenlaw comes on the scene in 2019. So you're adding players that are, changing the way this defense fundamentally plays. And when you can stop the run with 7, you can definitely change how you play these guys. And the 49ers have done that consistently. So I think that the 49ers just got better. The team that McVay took over from the Rams in 2017, that Jeff Fisher left, was a way better team than the 2017 49ers, that got left by Chip Kelly. And that's not so much the fault of Chip Kelly as it is Trent Baalke. But Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch had to completely rechange and change this defense, and they did. They went through and did the defensive line and all that. But you're talking about Solomon Thomas being one of those key figures back then. He's not a key figure anymore. Now you've got real run stoppers on the inside. DJ Jones has developed into the player that he has. All those things go to stop McVay. We've talked about this before. The 49ers have built a roster that is built to win championships. They're built to run the football in the playoffs, to play great defense. And a lot of that through the defensive line. That's the key to winning championships. Look at Tampa Bay last year. What did they do in the playoffs? They ran the football. They played great defense, especially a pass rush from the defensive line. The New York Giants team that Jay Hill was talking about ran the football, played great defense with a great defensive line. It is a tried and true formula. That's what John Lynch went in and built because that's what he knew from Tampa when he was there and won a Super Bowl. And that's what works. Sean McVay has a little bit of a different thought process. He did not build so much through the defensive line. He built it a little bit on the outside. He had Aaron Donald already, but then they went out and got a corner. That's not something the Niners did. A little bit of a different difference between the two, but especially the linebacker core. The Rams traded away all their linebackers. 49ers have just gotten better and better.
And it's an interesting thought process because I think Sean looks at the Super Bowl loss and sees, Brady able to complete some passes in some situations where they had some secondary lapses and thinks, man, if we can just have a guy who can make up for that and give Aaron enough time to get there, then we're fine. Like, we can do this and get this done. And so you can see how losses, experiences have shaped both coaches. Both coaches believe certain things. Also, paths of the organization. When Kyle came in, this team was, hot garbage, not doing a whole lot, not a big roster, not anything. Expectation level was extremely low, which means you had time to build it up and you had time to build it the way you wanted. When McVay came in, they were making the move from St. Louis to LA, and you have to try and ingratiate yourself in this fan base that hasn't had a team in, 2 decades? And so you need to get off to a hot start. So you need the big name pieces. You have to be good early in order to get the excitement up and around in Los Angeles. So what have they done? They haven't tried to draft young guys, take their lumps, and go. They've tried to get off to a hot start right away. They brought in big name free agents. They've made big trades. They've made the flashy moves. They've given up future draft capital to try and make this team competitive right here, right now. They're very competitive. They're very good. Both teams are in the NFC Championship game. That says something. It also says a lot about what the NFC West is and how tough of a division that was for everyone that was in it, whether it was the Seattle Seahawks, Arizona Cardinals, and obviously our two teams that are facing off now with a chance to go to the Super Bowl. Both teams have taken very different paths to get here. Both teams have experienced different things to get here. The Rams have dealt with a lot of adversity when it comes to the 49ers. The 49ers have dealt with a lot of adversity basically the rest of the way. Way more adversity than the Rams dealt with this year with this team and their current roster. We'll see if that has any sort of effect or impact. The other thing that we have to has to be stated, there is just a chance here that now that Kyle has the team that he needs, right? Because 2017, 2018 wasn't the case for Kyle Shanahan. Since 2019, when he had the team that he needed, the pieces he's needed in order to have some sort of success and find some success, he just knows what to do with those pieces against Sean McVay and this Rams team.
Yeah, I think so. I think a lot of that plays into it. I think that Kyle Shanahan believes this is closer, though, than it's ever been. Because in the offseason, one of the big things was Julio Jones is going to get traded. And Kyle Shanahan makes the statement that, we didn't really want to go after him. We just didn't want the Rams to get him. Because they knew that Julio Jones would put them over. And now they ended up getting Odell Beckham Jr. If they'd had Robert Woods, we'd be talking a little bit different right now. Because Robert Woods, Cooper Kupp, and OBJ would have been very tough to stop.
Extremely.
That would have been the key linchpin that would have helped them overcome the 49ers. But Robert Woods gets hurt, and the rest is kind of history. But I think that when you're building a football team, a lot of times you build it to beat the teams within the division. I wonder if the move for Von Miller was actually to beat Jimmy Garoppolo. I don't think so. I think it was in there to beat Kyler Murray. It was in there to beat Russell Wilson. That was the move that they were making. They thought that was the hump they needed to get over. The unfortunate fact for them is building that way to beat those other two teams who, especially the Arizona Cardinals appeared to be the front runner, is a different type of animal when you're going against the 49ers. That was style, the wide open style that they run in Arizona is way different from the 49ers. The 49ers will bring you in tight and run you over. So having those edge rushers on the outside is great. I mean, those guys can get after it, and those guys can get after Jimmy Garoppolo if he's, going to be a stationary target. The problem is if the 49ers can win on first and second down, by using the advantages that they have in the run game and kicking those guys out, well, then you're in trouble. So it's a weird dichotomy where you got to build your team to beat the teams in your division. But the way the 49ers are built, they're built different than the other teams. So you're building to beat the Seahawks and the Cardinals, and along the way, you got to deal with the animal that is the 49ers. That's why they tried to end them in week 18. They did not want this situation to happen. And now everyone's nervous. They're not wanting to sell tickets to the faithful. McVay's imploring, do not let tickets go to the faithful. Well, it's already been rumored 65%.
We talked about that in the live stream.
Yeah,
so
65%. That's more than the last game where it was 60%. 65% is supposed to be 49ers faithful.
Hey, man, let's bump those numbers up.
Yeah.
How faithful? Cutback crew. Let's get those numbers a little bit higher. I'd like to see 75%. We get an additional 10 by Sunday.
Can you imagine how loud it's going to be, though, with 65% of the fans being 49ers?
It's going to be nuts.
It is.
It's going to be nuts.
It's going to be exciting. And you know what? This is the kind of thing you want. The Rams, if they win this game, 6-0 means nothing. I mean, in fact, it really doesn't mean anything to these players or coaches. I guarantee the 49ers aren't talking about the fact that they're 6-0 against the Rams.
No.
All they care about is going 1-0 in this NFC Championship game.
All that matters.
That's all that matters. It could be on the Rams' mind because, that's something you got to overcome. But 49ers fans, absolutely not. This is more of a fan talking point. For us, it was just about trying to find out why this has happened.
What's the formula been?
Yeah, maybe there was a tried and true formula that Kyle Shanahan, has executed. And what we found out is it's not. What it comes down to is when the time happens, the 49ers do something different every single time to win. The only constant is the run game. So the run game is the thing that, you can kind of hang your hat on. If this run game goes for 40, the 49ers win by a blowout. If the run game is in the 30s, the 49ers are going to win. That's the key number. Can the 49ers get there? We're going to see.
We're going to see, Anton, and just a little bit more, I guess, last tidbit of information for the Cutback crew so you can kind of understand just why we dove into this and why we're taking a look. In the first playoff matchup for the Rams against the Arizona Cardinals, the Cardinals ran the ball a mere 16 times. That's it, 16 rush attempts. Against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Bucs ran the ball against the Rams, 14. Two teams that threw the ball almost 50 times, 60 times in each one of those football games, and the Rams were able to have success. Because the Rams are built to get after the pass rusher, and you have an elite guy on the outside in Jalen Ramsey who locks down one half of the field. It plays into their strengths. If you're going to drop back and just throw the ball, sling it 40, 50 times. That's the reality of the situation. So the Rams have not faced a team that is going to be physical, take it right at them, run the ball at them when they know they're going to run it and have success. They haven't faced that kind of team yet. They faced that team 2 times in the regular season, the 49ers, but in the playoff run so far, it's been sit back, cover the field, try and get after the quarterback. Sit back, cover the field, try and get after the quarterback. That's been what they've been preparing for. That's what they've been seeing. And now they got a completely different game plan, an animal in front of them in San Francisco. And the Niners got a completely different team in front of them than they faced, the last couple weeks. Because even last week, right, with that Green Bay team, you had the elements, and that was going to impact and affect the game. You're in a dome, SoFi in LA. There are no elements. Nothing to impact or take away from strengths and weaknesses, but just two teams going out there and trying to give their opponent their best shot.
Yeah, I mean, the good news is the 49ers have won against some good defensive fronts. Dallas Cowboys and then, the Green Bay Packers. Both of them not only had all their players back, but they're big and physical on the interior. And that's what you're going to see from the Rams. The Rams are good. They're quick. The one thing the Rams do a little bit more is give up size on the inside. They're not as big as what we just saw from Green Bay or even from Dallas, which plays into the 49ers' strengths because the 49ers are built also with not a lot of size. You don't have to worry about anchoring down, and really holding your ground. I mean, I know Aaron Donald's a freak of nature, but for some reason, Daniel Brunskill plays him well. He's able to play with leverage and anchor down against him. So those things play into the 49ers, advantage. I think that this is a cool matchup. It makes me nervous a little bit because you saw the way that the Rams came out in that Week 18 game and took it to the 49ers. The thing is, I can just say is the Niners overcame. And the Niners overcome again. I don't know. I'm going to say I don't know, but of course I do know. But it's just something to say I don't know.
Wait, are you saying I don't know because we're not at the game preview show yet?
Yeah, that's it.
Oh, okay, fair.
I'm going to lay it all out in the game preview show, and I can't wait to get to know your opponent either, where we can really break down the 49ers game versus the Rams in Week 18. I think that's going to be exciting. We're going to get to go over some of those key plays, and after that, it's going to be all balls to the walls, getting ready for the Rams. So I'm excited about it.
Balls to the wall, getting to the Rams, game plan video after that. Look, we're getting really close to the Friday Frenzy. We're getting real close to the game plan video and getting into this Sunday game, and hopefully a huge reaction show for the 49ers on the way to a Super Bowl. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
Don't.
We're not gonna get ahead of ourselves.
Don't get the big dog excited over here.
I'm not trying to get the big dog excited, but we're also not gonna get. We're not gonna get out in front of our skis.
No.
There's a lot of extra content this week coming out each and every day. We got a live stream tonight that you're not going to want to miss. So make sure you're here at 5:30 p.m. Pacific time. We discuss all the news coming out from the day and from the first day of practice, because today would be the first day of practice.
Yeah,
accurate.
Which is exciting. There's going to be a lot of stuff out there. Will Trent Williams be out there? Will Deebo Samuel be practicing? Ambry Thomas. There's going to be, a Jeff Wilson Jr., even somebody to watch. The 49ers are, I'm sure, going to make some moves, move some people around. Will Maurice Hurst, will they decide to go with an extra defensive lineman this week, an extra person in the rotation? We'll see. But there's going to be a lot of things that play into this, and let's just hope we're full healthy and ready to go for this game. And actually, I hope both teams are, because I want to see what happens, when these guys go against each other. No more excuses. Got to go get it done.
By God, it's going to be a slobber knocker, Ant.
Let's hope it's like the 1990 end.
Hey, that would be nice.
The 49ers ended up rolling 30-3 and then beating the Denver Broncos for the Super Bowl, 55-10.
Only difference would be you're not going to see the Denver Broncos in the Super Bowl. But hey, I would love a rolling.
Maybe it's another AFC West team.
Could be. It could be, Ant.
Or it could be the Bengals for the third time.
It could be the Bengals for the third time. There's a lot of storylines to play out here.
There is.
We'll see what happens. Cutback Crew, we'll see you tonight for the live stream. Make sure you like, subscribe if you haven't already. Hit that notification bell as well. That way you're notified for all of the content when all the live streams go live, reaction shows on Sundays, and all of the quality content coming out on the Friday Frenzy this week. You're not going to want to miss it. You're definitely not going to want to miss the Madden simulation either, Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific time. So make sure you get all your ducks in a row now. Like this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and become the newest member of the Cutback Crew. And Ant, man, this is going to be a lot of fun. I'm really excited for it, but we'll catch the Cutback Crew on the next one. And until then, stay safe.
Remember, the right way
is always the 49ers way.